Hey, I'm Khashayar from Starness, and today we want to see how we can execute a good outbound approach for your business. So, the first and most important step in any outbound approach, and by the way, outbound means that in sales, you want to find and target and contact your leads or your potential clients yourself. You're not waiting for them to come to you, but you are targeting them and engaging with them. That's outbound in very short manner. So the first important part is that you need to know who you're selling to and what is the exact value that you're delivering. Because without this, you cannot target people or properly filter out who is the buyer and who's not the buyer. Because in sales, it's very important to know who you can sell and who you cannot sell. So that step is ICP definition or ideal customer profile, or in shorter form, the buyer persona that you have to define. And a lot of people come and say, okay, we are selling to CEOs of software companies in US. That's a good start, but that's not enough. That's very broad. And you cannot filter out people with this because there might be hundreds of thousands of people that match these filters that you just mentioned. So you need to be specific. It means that I'm selling to CEOs and CTOs of software companies with certain revenue range, certain employee count, in a specific, maybe even the states because of certain reason. And they have, for example, tech stacks that might be this and this, or alternatively, in the past 6 months, they have invested in their engineering department because that's a good signal for you, for example, and so on. Why these are important? Because first, you need to be very precise on basic filters for the company. For instance, revenue range and company size and company maturity can show you if they are a fit or not. Let's say you are selling coding tools to companies, software companies, and your annual deal value is, let's say, above $15,000 per year. So this means that your buyers should have a budget. And so that's why we define the revenue range. And the maturity of the team should be mature enough to have some pipelines in place and some organization in place, but not too mature and too locked in so that they're still open to new solutions and their sales cycles are not too long, let's say like typical enterprise. That defines the employee count. So let's say you're targeting companies between 50 and 500. And then after that, you even need to look into exact buying signals. For instance, if their engineering department is growing in the past 6 months, it means that they have good allocation of budget to engineering department, which means they potentially can also invest on your solution. If you come to Starner's dashboard, we have this ICP builder that if you click on it, you see actually a list. Let me remove these filters so that we can go through all of them easily together. So first, I say, okay, I'm targeting United States in this case, software companies, and as we just spoke, let's say my solution is fit to 50 to 500, and the revenue is, let's say, should be between 10 and 50 million. Funding can be a great signal as well. And with the starters go through and find when they were funded and when the round took place. So that also, if it's recently, that's a great signal. And let's say I was targeting founders and CEOs and VPs of engineering and CTOs. Let's say, just as an example, and you provide some information about your company because system will go and find these and filter out these leads, and through hundreds or thousands of possibilities based on what you're selling and what you're targeting, it will score them and filter them out. So it's very important if you can provide good information about your solution. Here, it's just an example, so I just provide a few words. But in your case, please go on and provide maybe a few sentences so the system knows more about what you're selling. And let's say now I have to define how many leads I want to go as a starting point. Let's say I want to target 100 leads, find create a prompt and directly use it. So you see, it's a very detailed, good prompt, and you don't need to build this. The system built it for you as well. And when you submit, the system will start to find those leads and generate them for you. Before we go on, just I'm sure you're familiar with the UI, but everything goes to your threads. All the leads and everything that the system creates for you of people or companies, you can see a preview of them here, but they all are stored in artifacts. So here is the main source where you can see what system found for you, and you see we provide a lot of in-depth information. If it's your first time using it, you can go through columns and see exactly what is provided. But one of the most important parts is this ICP score, because this is a match and scoring system that the Starness has carried out for you. If you double click, you can see also the exact reasoning why this score has been given. And please, and same also goes with leads. Please notice that the system is as open as Claude or ChatGPT or OpenClaw or other AI agentic solutions. So you can ask for a system to reanalyze. You can ask for do a web search and web research scraping and detailed analysis of websites to rescore them or find out more info or do tons of other things. If you go to agents, you can easily see how many capabilities and integrations are available on the Starners, which is 25 plus agents, 50 plus integrations. The capabilities are much beyond this, but let's for now focus on what are the principles. Going back to home, we have a playbook here that exactly defines, okay, what are these steps to do an outbound approach properly. Of course, the step zero, as we discussed, was defining the ICP. After that, of course, we went to lead generation. There are two approaches for lead generation. First is what we just described, company first approach. Why? Because in our example, we were targeting mid-market-ish companies and buyers, which in that case, it's very important that you first filter out the accounts or companies that match you and then try to find decision makers. But if you go with direct lead search, that's appropriate if you are targeting mainly people directly. So let's say you're selling to solopreneurs or I don't know, doctors, or even you're finding investors, for example, for your business, individual investors. Um, After you have the list, of course, you have to now reach out to them. LinkedIn is a great source. Here, I always recommend that you need to spend more time here because everybody now is receiving just messages. So you need to first ask the system to maybe send connection requests. We'd get connected to people. Then it's best not to immediately send them like, this is our solution, and do you want to buy this? That might not work well. Good point is just thank them. Thanks for connecting. Super excited. Saw you're posting about this. Let's stay in touch. And then in the next few days, you can start to engage with their posts or their colleagues' posts and so on, and then build a bit of a relationship there. And then let's say this, because the starters can also go and analyze the recent posts of people. Let's say you saw this yourself or a starters figured this out for you that just this founder that you were targeting posted and said, "Oh, we were using Tool X for our coding, and I wish they had this feature as well." And let's say you have that feature in your solution, you can immediately approach while the channel is hot and say, and comment there and mention them in the comment because definitely they will see this. And say, "Oh, it's amazing that you're figuring out that this is a useful feature. It's great. I'll DM you because we might have what you're looking for. Best of luck." And then go and DM because you're already connected to this founder. DM them and then say, "Oh, let's say, John, I just saw that you mentioned this. It's great. The tool you're using is also amazing, but we know that a lot of people have the same issue as yours. That's why we built this. And if you have just 15 minutes or even just 10 minutes, I'd be glad to jump on a call and quickly show what we can do for you." Email is also a nice backup or even main channel, depends on what you're selling. And again, you can set sequences. You can see also an example of a prompt. You can be creative and flexible on what you want. After, let's say, you have done the reach out, you need to monitor or ask a starners to frequently every day at certain time intervals monitor and engage, reply back, and so on with the ones that reply back to you or show a signal. And then, especially if you are early on or you don't have a very sophisticated, established outbound pipeline in place, it's very important to iterate, improve, and be consistent. So, and what I always recommend is to have 100 to 200 leads batches that you can execute per week. These are high value, low volume, highly targeted leads that you need to go and engage with them on LinkedIn and so on, as we just spoke, and iterate. Put it into buckets of 1 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And when it goes to outbound reach outs, you need to go to agents and make sure your LinkedIn account is connected to LinkedIn Automation Agent. Soon we will also allow multi-account capability, and your mailboxes. For now, it supports only a smart lead. We can only connect with Gmail, so you can connect up to 10 Gmail mailboxes here. That's a professional email sequencing approach that you can set multiple sequences of let's say send today this template and then automatically after a few days this and so on, and also it warms up your mailboxes automatically. But if you want to do low volume and you don't want to go through that sequences, or you're not confident into how that can work, you can just connect your one personal Outlook mailbox or Gmail mailbox here, and you can ask the system to again send those messages or those emails from your mailbox. But please keep the rate below roughly to 50 60 emails per day, otherwise you may burn your mailbox. And as a summary and wrap up, ICP definition, then finding leads or companies plus leads based on what you're targeting, then set up the reach outs, be consistent, iterate, and try to approach it such that you can, after a few weeks or few months, have a very solid outbound pipeline in place.